Hey guys, welcome to the Crypto CEO Catch Up. My name is Todd Hart. Today we're welcoming in Owners Unity Token. Guys, welcome back actually to the show.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So if we could, just to do a quick introduction, Scott, we'll start with you. Your title, your background, kind of how you get into crypto. I'll have you both do that, and then we'll talk about the project.
Yeah, sure. My name's Scott Shearer. I am the CEO and co-founder of Owners Unity. Most of my adult life's been in construction and project management. I've also run a business consultancy since 2013. I first got introduced to crypto in 2011 when a friend of mine, Chris Seal, said I should get into Bitcoin. I obviously turned him down. And then in 2018, I decided Cardano was going to be my entrance into the market, and I've kind of been involved ever since.
I love ADA Cardano. I'm still hoping that they pop and take over, but I guess we'll see. Time will tell. Philip, how about yourself?
My name is Phil Hummel. I'm an advisor to Owners Unity. My background is finance and entrepreneurship. Started my career in investment banking at Solomon Brothers way back in the day. So I am heavily versed in deal formation, capital structure. We've had the pleasure of taking quite a few companies public. Specifically, I was involved in the .com, both boom and bust. So I've seen a lot for good and for worse. And what we're experiencing in crypto seems to be a rebirth of what we experienced in the .com, just with the new technology.
And we were talking earlier about it's sort of that same opportunity now that was available then for people.
Absolutely, it's a huge opportunity with the right diligence.
And what made you want to come work with Owners Unity? What was it about the project?
You know what? I got involved in crypto about 5 years ago. With Bitcoin, like most people did, and I stayed around. I stayed around. I got involved in DeFi about 2 years ago. When I first saw Owners Unity, Todd, I was telling you earlier, I turned down the opportunity. I walked away from it. It was too real estate centric for me, and I said thanks, but no thanks. Scott persistently came back and said, take another look. And I did. And I really dug down, and I came to the realization that it's so much more than just real estate. With the two utilities that they've already announced with the CBP protocol, and with Owners Utility, the energy brokerage, with those two organizations, those two businesses alone, the business model itself is completely self-sustaining. So the real estate aspect of it, which is potentially revolutionary and can change the entire field of home ownership. The CVP and Owners Utility will give everyone the time and the space to do it successfully. So they're not focused on, they are not beholding to the crypto markets to make this successful, which is what really excited me about it.
Yeah. Scott, give us an overview of the project, like a kind of a macro 10,000 foot high level overview, and then we'll dig into all the different utilities and what you guys are going to be doing.
Yeah, sure. I think the overview would be that Owners Unity is a hybrid project that at its core offers its holders 7 passive income streams back to the token. The utilities themselves are designed to be independent, and they are designed to drive revenue back to the holders and to be redistributed in a fashion where everyone gains something. The jewel in the crown is obviously for us the property aspect of it, but Owners Unity is so much more than just that on its own. It is a crypto ecosystem and a real world ecosystem combining to hopefully drive crypto forward and drive adoption through making crypto accessible to everyday people in a tangible manner, where they can see the benefits in everyday life.
So let's talk about the crown jewel of real estate. Tell me about that, how that's going to work, how that benefits the holders, and let's explore that one first, and then we'll just kind of go down and talk about each one of the 7.
Okay, well, owner's unity payment plan is part of the main utility, which is the home ownership aspect of it. And what we've done is we've worked within the current system to create a format which makes it a lot easier and a lot simpler for people to get onto the housing ladder. And it gives more people the opportunity because we have reintroduced the human aspect of the initial process. So at the moment, where a lot of people fall through the gap, so to speak, because it's just an algorithm deciding whether they meet the specific criteria, because we don't offer loans and we're not providing mortgages or anything like that, we don't have all of the constraints that a traditional finance or mortgage company would have. And it also means that we can reduce the amount that people have to spend to gain ownership of a property. And that's it at its core. The way it benefits the token holders is obviously by generating revenue, bringing revenue in, which then goes through the tokenomics and is redistributed as a passive income stream.
Now, when you say no mortgage, no loan, how is this house being acquired? How are the people getting the house? How is that all work? Unless it's a secret sauce that you don't want someone to steal before you guys launch. But I'd like to understand that better.
Yeah, no, it's in our white paper, and we are releasing some explanatory 2-minute videos that basically break down the core aspects of the project moving forward. It really is a simple process of people moving into a property by us utilizing the different other utilities that generate revenue, like Philip said, creating the revenue, purchasing the property with 0 leverage, so there's no leverage involved. So we're not going to hopefully end up in a situation where we have to add additional costs to you guys. Once we've purchased the property, they move in. If we were in a pub, the closest thing I would say is it's like a rent to own, but I must stress it's not a rent to own, and it's not a rent to lease or anything like that. It is a unique individual project. So the people choose their own properties. We're not going to decide the properties for them. They move into the houses they want to move in. Then they pay us a monthly fee for being involved in the owner's unity payment plan. That money is then utilized in our secret source. That's where the secret source comes in. It goes through the tokenomics and then is redistributed. It really is as straightforward and simple as that.
So basically they're paying to live in the home, but some of that money is going towards them owning that home after a certain amount of time.
Yes, so what we do is, I don't want to give too much away, but basically the initial payment is utilized, but at every step we take out the initial payment. So for instance, if you made a payment, say it was $500 a month, the $500 would come off of the overall cost of the property. So it would reduce the amount against the property. We would have utilized that money though to generate additional income. That goes through the secondary tokenomics, of which another portion is put against the value of the property. It then goes through the tertiary tokenomics, which another portion goes against the property. So the easiest way to portray it is, rather than you paying dead money, so usually when you pay a mortgage, except for the reduction in the cost of the mortgage, that money is dead. The company takes that money and keeps all the profits for itself and its shareholders, etc. What we do is we take that money and we make it work for you still. So although it's the company's money, we make that money work for you. And we still make a profit. We are a business and we are here to make a profit, but we're going to make profit in a more even-handed way by returning some of it to the investors and the clients in situ. And then that will hopefully drive volume. And it's not always about being the most expensive out there. If you have a good product and you increase the volume through the product that you have, you can generate more revenue than something that is higher priced.
Will you guys be taking out mortgages, or will you only buy a property when you have the cash for it?
We will only buy properties when we have the cash for it. That's the current model. We don't want to have leverage at this time, but we are obviously taking advice from people, and that model could change over time. But that's the primary format at this moment, but that doesn't mean it's written in stone.
Because I'm just thinking, when money is really cheap, like it has been over the past few years, it's a good time for you guys to leverage that. And I don't know if that made it. Well, that's Philip. He's the money guy. So I don't know if that makes sense or not.
So the answer is yes, it does make sense. Initially, because of the launch and because of current market conditions, specifically global market conditions, right? We're going to purchase homes, and we're purchasing homes that people want to live in. Right,
yeah.
that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get into, in all parts of the world. So right now we're going all cash. We're trying to make this as clean as possible before we add complications to the algorithms.
Do you guys have properties already lined up that you want to buy?
No, not at the moment, because it's obviously the clients. So first of all,
decide. Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if you were buying like a multi-unit location, like we call them condos here. I don't know what they call them in the UK. But like a condo unit, and those are what you buy the whole building and then you sell out the individual units. I don't know if you're doing anything like that. Okay. And so how do you choose the people that are going to be the first ones getting a home? How does that work?
Well, to build a successful business, and I've listened to Philip and spoken to him about this as well, and I believe that he's in agreement. We have a specific target market at the moment, and that would be people who fall just underneath the requirements to hit a mortgage. So there's, they have good income, they have good credit history, but it might be something about a minor adverse credit judgment that's gone against them, or sometimes the banks just decide that even though you have a good income and it's consistent, it's just below their algorithm for how much they decide that they can allow you to borrow. So they are the primary targets at this moment in time, so that we have as reliable and as solid a client base that we can build out on, and then we can move on from there and see who else we can help.
Now, my marketing mind can't help but start, the little gerbil in the wheel in my brain. Have you started reaching out to get press? I've got to assume the press would love this story and would want to report about this, because it's a feel-good story. You're helping people that banks turn their backs on, and I've got to think it would be an easy way to get some free publicity from the press. Have you looked into that yet?
We've started some press releases in the crypto space. We are looking to obviously expand into the real world space as well, but it's also kind of like a dual-edged sword, because we will then draw attention to ourselves before we are able to stand up and defend ourselves. And if the big guys catch wind of us early, they could potentially see us as a threat and then try to shut us down before we are in a position and to obviously protect ourselves and make sure that we get to the stage where we can help people. But with advisors like Philip on board, we will come up with a strategy where we can navigate the shoals, so to speak.
That's terrible that you have to even consider that as something to deal with.
So Todd, the answer is yes. We love the social model, and we love the social play, and we love the feel good aspect of it. That is one of the premises that this organization is built on, and that just opens the door up for publicity and press. Is it something that we're interested in? The answer is yes. Are we going to hold off on that right now? The answer is yes. We're going to hold off on
Yeah.
that just for a bit.
Yeah. But it's sad though that you have to think of that, and that's something that you have to deal with, that somebody would want to kind of take this away from you guys because you're going to threaten their business model, which is the world we live in. But it's unfortunate that that's something that you have to deal with. Let's talk about other, you mentioned 7 income streams. So let's go down that list and talk about what those are.
Okay, well, it's the 7 passive revenue streams are independent of the utilities. We will have a lot more than 7 utilities in total as we expand both the crypto ecosystem and the real world ecosystem. But you've got your 3 traditional rewards, which is the buy, sales tax and staking. So they're the traditional 3, but with our unique tokenomics, which we call autonomics because of the way that they are structured, you also receive an additional 2 from the secondary tokenomics, which is a 5% reward to all holders, because not everyone stakes. Some people think that, you know, it's not worth their while staking. So they receive 5%, all holders, and then staked holders receive 12.5%. So that's from the secondary autonomics. And the tertiary autonomics, there are 2 different systems. One is an owner's unity system, one is a client-based system, and the token holders receive 4% BUSD returns from both of those avenues too. So it's the 3, the 2 and the 2, which is 7 passive revenue streams.
Is the staking, the 12.5, is that a fixed rate?
But no, because the staking, the 12.5% is for staked holders. So the staking aspect of it is a totally different passive income stream. The 12.5% is part of the rewards from the secondary tokenomics. So if you stake your token, then you receive that additional revenue stream, but it's independent of the actual rewards you get for staking. And under advisement, the staking will be variable.
Are you guys doing brew labs? You're doing it yourself? Where are you doing the staking?
We have our own DApp, which will be coming out on the new website, which will be announced imminently. But we're also in talks with brew labs. We want to give as many people as many options as possible to generate income for themselves. Cool.
All right. And tell me about the CVP. You mentioned that earlier. Tell us about that.
Okay. CVP is the client verification protocol, which was AVS, which we've taken over, we've modified, and it is now live. It's a transparency utility, so you can do your KYC on it as an individual, but you can also do KYC and auditing for your projects. I will announce here, you'll get this, I'm not sure how much of an exclusive it is, but we've also partnered with Interfi, so we can provide audits, SAFU contracts, and you know, we're looking to form these partnerships that will enhance our products, but also assist the space as a whole. And I think that's kind of a good marriage.
You said SAFU project. What is that? What is that an acronym for?
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
I've not.
I saw someone else use that the other day, and I always think of the project SAFU. I know it's not that, but I was wondering what that means when someone says the SAFU. So you're doing, is this more for other crypto projects to utilize the KYC and the Interfi, or is it really for the side that people are coming to get a property and you want to, you know, do background checks on them?
The beauty of it is this system that is up and running at the moment deals with the crypto space. So we're in talks with other projects to have them utilize it on their projects. But we are also producing a real world product That utility will be announced shortly as well. And we already have, that will be used on the affordability check for Owners Unity. It will also be used for our marketplace, so that all of the tradespeople that will interact with us have been verified, so that people know that they are safe to work with. It's also going to be used on, I'm not sure how much I can go into this, a client, there's other utilities that we have which we haven't announced yet that need KYC in the real world, that it will be attached to. We also have a debt recovery company that are going to utilize it, and we also have traditional estate agents that are looking to test it as well, and if it works for them, they will be taking it on board. So we've got multiple real world businesses that are looking to test or take on the real world version of CVP.
Are there any limitations on the KYC side as like geographic limitations, or is it pretty much covering the globe?
It's global. It just takes more time for certain countries than other countries to get the result back, but it is a global process.
And I know there are other players in the space that do this. So how does your pricing and usability, easeability, how does that compare to other players in the space?
It's a very smooth user interface, and the people that we have allowed to test it so far have said it's one of the better ones they've used. It's all, you know, one click, very straightforward, very simple. Most of them are much of a muchness. You know, we all look to say that we're better in this aspect, we're better in that aspect, but really it's down to the individual that utilizes the product to make their decision. What we would say is have a look and try the process, and you will be pleasantly surprised with how smooth it is.
I've got to think there's a never-ending supply of customers in the crypto space that need KYC, that new projects are constantly launching, like multiple per day. So I've got to think that's a great revenue stream for you guys.
Yeah, we're in talks. I can't go too much into it. We're in talks with the right projects in the right field to generate the most revenue for you guys as investors. And obviously with the advice of Philip and Steve moving forward, I'm pretty sure we'll move into some other avenues.
Philip wants to jump in. I can tell by his body movements. He's ready to jump in.
So KYCs, right? We've been doing KYCs in the crypto field for quite a while, right? It's been a pretty standard operating procedure. There are a few organizations out there doing a great job, doing an absolute great job. Is ours better? I wouldn't say better. I'd say it's different, right? Ease of use is a huge issue, right? And then who do you align yourself with? Who do you partner yourself with so that you get the most views on it, right? And we've been fortunate enough to have to be in alignment with those right people already.
Are you guys partnering with launchpads? And there's a lot of new companies coming out that, like Cryptolic, I think of the guys from BUSD Buffet, where they're going to be kind of a soup to nuts for a project to go to and say, write our contract. We want our website. We want our Telegram, you know, the whole thing, do it all for us. Are you going to partner with people like that?
Yes.
So that they come to you for the KYC?
Yes. And we are down that road.
Good.
And again, we're not going to mention the projects or platforms, but yes, we are specifically in negotiations with launchpads and full service providers.
Nice. And you also mentioned, Philip, you said SVP, but you also said the owner's utility. Is that something that I've missed, or is that something we haven't talked about yet?
That's something we have not talked about yet.
Okay. So tell me about it.
Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. When we spoke last time, Todd, I did touch on that we had multiple real world and crypto based products because we want to be hybrid and we want to drive adoption. Owner's Utility is an energy brokerage.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, and we're dealing with, this is the beauty of it because it all ties in together. We're dealing with business to business contracts, okay? And if you look at the market and you look at what we've moved into, two of the most robust and recession or downturned market places to be involved in are energy, because unless you live off the grid, businesses come and go, but everyone uses energy. So there will always be a turnover of contracts for that. And housing, demand and supply, it's constant no matter what's happening. With regards to the revenue that you can generate, just as a brief example, in the UK, the average salesperson is targeted with between 10 and 25,000 pounds per month. 25,000 is the standard, 10 would be a really low amount. But if you take out the overheads, that's between 5 and 15,000 profit per salesperson per month. Even if we only got up to 8 people in a space of 3 to 6 months, that's between 40 and 120,000 pounds per month, independent of the buy sale pressure in the market that is then going into the system to generate revenue. On the back of that, we can also add retail contracts because we have access to them too. We can then tie those retail contracts to the portfolio that comes with the property, which means that the client in situ won't have to pay for their energy bills because it's part of the portfolio, which alleviates a lot of pressure that a lot of people are finding themselves under at the moment. And it means that their income will go further. So what we do is tie everything in together, robust industries that generate revenue, but also act in tandem with each other. And
now,
we can obviously...
When you're talking about energy, are you talking about like electricity? Are you talking about gas, natural gas, oil? What are you referring to when you talk about energy?
If it's a business and they use liquid gas, we can sell that. It's any energy source, but we are focusing on moving towards renewables because that's obviously part of our ethos and part of what we want to do is to drive everything forward. Let's not stay in the past. Let's move and look at the future.
So go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
If you don't mind me jumping in. So the answer is yes. We're dealing with all forms of energy, whether it's solar, whether it's gas, whether it's oil. Obviously, we like renewable. One of the things that we don't truly experience here in the States because we have an abundance, because our natural resources are just absolutely abundant. Europe is in an energy crisis. And because of current world events, it's going to get worse. It's about to get worse.
Yeah.
So if we have the ability, we have set up owners utility, and we are going to be brokeraging energy, all forms of it. And this is going to do two things. It is going to drive revenue. It's going to drive revenue into owners unity, and minimize the need for true crypto adoption regarding volume, and two is going to directly affect our homeowners, right? It's going to directly affect our homeowners. So again, our target market are people that just missed qualifying for a mortgage for whatever reason, right? So if our project, if our ethos is long-term home ownership for people that don't traditionally qualify, right? And if we can get this to help follow that, right? It's more social model, right? It's more social model. It's more of a win-win situation, and that's what we're really focused on here.
You guys are it's a very utopian idea that you have, and I'm just wondering, like, have you run the numbers? And you've got Putin threatening to turn off the natural gas spigot now. Yeah, like, does anything throw a wrench into the works? Have you run the numbers, looked at what could happen with world events, and is there something that could kind of screw things up, or do you guys have ways to kind of get around that and work through that?
You know what? The war escalating affects everybody, right?
Yeah.
It affects the globe. So anyone saying otherwise is just being naive, right? They're either being naive or they're selling you snake oil. So it's one or the other. I don't think in the current environments anyone can negate global risk. especially with what may or may not happen with Putin. That being said, we're set up for success right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
Where people will need energy. People
Yep.
will need energy. Right. And if it's sky high and we can find a slightly lower ability to provide them, they still need it.
And is the plan to build a sales force and have a company that is out there just, you know, banging on doors and cold calling and doing all that kind of stuff?
Correct. Scott?
Yeah, no, the real world businesses will perform as real world businesses. And I just need to cover something with regards to the utopian perspective of this.
Yeah.
It's good business. It's not having a good social ethos can be good business, because if your product is a reliable and it's a product that people need and they get it at a good price and it does benefit them, then you get greater volume, and greater volume drives bigger profits and bigger adoption. So you can do good things and still make money for people. It's, you know,
how does, yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Specifically what Scott was getting to there is we're making a win-win situation for everybody, right? It's a win for us. It's a win. It's a win for our investors. It's a win for our homeowners, and it's a true win-win-win situation. You know, basic leadership training says nobody wins unless anyone wins,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's a spin on that traditional corporate greed model. So we're going to be winning by doing good business, by helping the community, and by that, you know, we're just going to grow.
Well, I when I said utopian, I didn't mean that in a negative way. I meant it in a positive way, because I think the world is changing. And when you look at younger people are not willing to accept well, this is how we do it. We show up for 40 hours a week in an office somewhere, and they're like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to work from home, or we're going to work flexible hours, or, you know, things are changing. People are living in vans now and they're traveling the world and they're not living in a home. And people, so I like that you guys are being part of that change, because things are going to change over the next 20 years. The world is, these big corporations, if they don't adapt, they're going to be in trouble, because people aren't willing to pay the money and let these people continue to get rich and rich and rich. That's going to change. There's going to be a backlash to that. So I think what you're doing is admirable, and I'm excited for it, and I really want it to work. What about regulation? How does regulation in the crypto space affect you guys? Have you thought about that? And is there, right? Because I know that there's a lot of projects out there that are really equities, and they're going to be treated as such when regulation comes. So how does that all factor into what you got? And I know, Philip, this is your world, so you probably have some good answers for that.
Mm-hmm. The reality is that the overwhelming majority of cryptos today are securities.
Yeah.
Gensler, the head of the SEC has specifically stated that that Bitcoin is truly the only commodity out there. Every other crypto is a security, and he specifically stated that just because there's a change in technology does not, right? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and swims like a duck, it's a duck, right? So they're saying, if it's acting like a security just because there's a change in technology,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change the fact that it's a security. So we are structured in a way that when that regulation comes in, we'll be ready for it. We have looked into the possibility of SEC regulation and registration. We're potentially going down that path as well. Nobody can tell what the future is going to look like, but right. We're covering all our bases, not only for us as a company, but for our investors.
I also think that they don't really know what they're doing yet, and it's very confusing, and they're sending mixed messages. And I don't know how projects deal with it right now because there's not a clear path to it. There's sort of, I don't know, it's haphazardly being put together, and I don't know, it's confusing. So I don't know how you even prepare for that when you don't know what's coming.
It is confusing, and the only thing that you can really do is act as if, right? We have to act as if. We have to put these procedures in place, in place now. We have to put the proper auditing, which we have in place now, right? All of our records, all of our finances were audited. We're going to continue. We're going to continue to go down that road, and act right, and essentially act as if, so that if and when the day does come that we do that crypto does get regulated as a security, we'll be ready for it.
Cool. Let's talk about the actual token, the launch, where you're launching, when you're launching. Like, where are you guys launching? Are you doing Pink Sale or are you doing somewhere else?
We haven't fixed exactly where we're launching at the moment due to prior commitments, but it's looking likely to be Pink Sale.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of new launch pads out there, and I'm invested in most of them. And I still think if I was going to launch a coin today, I would probably choose Pink Sale because they've got the most eyes. And the other thing that people don't factor in is I'm an investor. And when I'm logging into a new launch pad trying to buy a token, if I don't understand it, I'm just going to be like, yeah, this launch pad sucks. I can't even log in, and people are going to walk away. With Pink Sale, we're used to it. We know what to expect. We know what we're getting into. And I just think it's I don't know. And again, I said I invested in these other projects, but if I was launching a project, I would do it on Pink Sale because I just think that's where it's easy. That's what people are used to. And you don't want to create any barriers to entry when you're launching a project. So I don't know. That's my thought on it. I'll say it. You guys don't have to say it. So that way you don't get in trouble. They can come after me. So when are we launching? When is that happening?
At the moment, we cannot give you a specific date because we are holding an AMA every Saturday where we are announcing a new revenue generating utility. When we run out of revenue generating utilities to announce, we will pre-sale and launch the week after. But it's 4 to 6 weeks, I would imagine.
Okay. Wow. So you guys have more stuff coming.
Yeah.
And we will be announcing stuff after we've launched as well. This is what we've done. We have been quiet, but because we wanted to have all our ducks in a row and make sure that we have a solid foundation that we can build from and launch and not have to go into a negative price after we've launched.
So remind people how many tokens are launching. What's the total amount?
The total supply is 10 billion tokens.
Okay.
But we won't be launching all of those. It will be 8.5 billion in total.
Are you burning the others or putting them into reserve or something?
We had a vote with the community because obviously when we spoke last time, we told you that we were community based to a degree. Obviously, we steer the ship.
Yeah.
You can give some decisions back to the community because you need to keep them engaged. They're part of what you do this for. And they've decided that we will burn those tokens.
Nice. And tell me the buy-sell tax.
Buy-sell tax is 8%. That's 8% and 14%.
Okay. And what are the reflections? Like, how is that broken down? The 8% to 14%, if you know that off the top of your head. Yeah.
4% goes to the holder for the buy. It's 4% BUSD back to the token holders. 1% is buyback and burn. 1% is marketing. 1% is affordable housing, and 1% is liquidity pool.
Okay. And then on the 14 side, same, but just different. Okay. Is there going to be a pre-sale whitelist private sale? Did you do a private sale? Will there be a pre-sale?
Yeah, we've gone through everything and we're just gearing up for pre-sale now.
So you're just going to do a pre-sale?
Yeah.
All right. Is it going to be fair launch or whitelist?
We will probably just do a public pre-sale. We'll take it under advisement, but at this moment in time, we're not going to do a fair launch. We'll just do a pre-sale and then a fair launch. Not a fair launch, a pre-sale and then a listing.
So how does that work? Is it, I always get this confused with fair launch and all the, especially on Pink Sale. So do you set a certain amount of tokens that are up for sale, and then once they're gone? Because I know with a fair launch, I think the more people that come in, the less tokens you end up getting, I believe is how that works. So
yeah, we're just going to have a soft cap, hard cap, and then list after that process.
And it's going to be open to anyone to come in and be able to get it, no whitelist. Okay. All right, cool. A lot of people don't like whitelists, and I always felt that whitelists were good because you built the marketing, the hype, everybody wants to get in. So there, I guess there's an argument to be had for both. But it seems fair to open it up to people and let that go.
But
and
again,
then you're gonna
just add, Todd, it'll be, we've still got time to take advice on board. So these are, nothing is written in stone with regards to how we do the pre-sale. Yeah.
I think in your case, for what you're trying to do, I would say do exactly what you said, do a public pre-sale. Because if you start doing whitelists now, people are going to say, well, that's favoritism, and you're giving it to people who, whatever, I don't know. It's more FUD that it could create. So I think having it being an open public sale, it's like, hey, quickest fingers wins. Like, just get in there and buy it. And then if you don't get it, buy it at launch.
I was going to say, on top of that, we have as a community and organization been really quiet for a couple of months, and we've been quiet because we've been putting together all the utilities, all the companies, so that when we're ready, we're starting to launch these utilities. As Scott just mentioned, right? We just launched CVP, Customer Verification Protocol. We just launched Owner's Utility. We're going to announce an additional revenue generating utility this Saturday. So we've specifically been quiet because we wanted to bring something to the table. There are, I piss people off. So if there are so many projects out there that promise and promise and promise and promise, we're going to do this utility, we're going to do this utility, we're going to do this utility, and it's bullshit. They don't deliver anything. So we're actually coming, we're coming to the table with real companies out there that are generating utilities. So now we just started the marketing. So this was, we were intentionally quiet. Now we're just beginning to build the hype, and that's why we were thinking, do it on Pink Sale and give everyone a fair shot.
Well, I recently did a video called, asking people, why are you here? Why are you in this space? And it was like so many people, when you say what you just said, there's projects out there that have been here for over a year or almost a year, and they haven't delivered anything. And yet people are still, I'm like, are you in a cult? Is that a cult for you, or is it an investment? For me, it's an investment. And I pulled my money out long ago because they're not doing anything. Even if I lost money, I can put it somewhere else and maybe 2, 3, 4x it and get my money back. But I'm not going to just watch it continue to die. And yeah, so I don't know. It's one of those frustrating things in this space that people do. What have we not talked about? Actually, I do have a question for you. As far as once all of the utilities are out, what percentage of those utilities revenue is coming from outside of crypto? And obviously you got to ballpark it. But is it more than 50% that'll be coming from outside of crypto, or what do you think the answer is to that?
I think the way that we're structured at the moment, more than 50% will come external to crypto, because we want crypto to be adopted. We want to, I don't know if Philip agrees with me, but at the moment, and he's got much better knowledge of this than me, at the moment, people are just incorporating traditional business methods with the new technology of blockchain. So not many projects are actually advancing blockchain and taking it out there. It's just, staying in one place. So an arm of fintech, for instance. We are trying to move it into a more real world based situation to drive adoption. Because if we grow the space, it's better for everyone. There's more interactions. So that's where we feel the more stable revenue will be generated as well, because there's less volatility in the real world than there is in the crypto space currently. Philip?
Scott, you nailed it. The thought process on this, we're going to be more than 50% of our revenue outside of crypto. That was the entire thought process. Adoption in crypto is growing. It is growing, but it's still really scary. It's scary for the average person. Most people still think crypto as nothingness, as absolute nothingness, right? So crypto as a business, without a real utility, without a real use, is questionable. All right, it's questionable at best. So if we actually generate revenue, well, when we generate revenue, we're set up to do this, and we put it back into crypto, and we use crypto as the actual currency. Now we're actually driving adoption, and we're driving adoption of our token. And we're introducing crypto to people that normally wouldn't normally wouldn't be exposed to it. So we're doing it this way to drive adoption as well.
Well, there's a lot of projects that launching with the promise of we're going to have a launch pad, we're going to have an NFT marketplace. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Because
everyone has it.
Everyone has it, and no one's making any money. We got a swap. We got this. Like, I don't care. No one's making money with the ones that are out there. How are you going to be different? You're not.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking projects now, like, are you going outside of this very tiny space and generating revenue? And you guys are. And that's where my money is now flowing, to projects that are going to be going outside of this very limited, almost shrinking space, it feels at times. And so I think that's where the money is going to start going. So that's exciting that you guys are doing that and generating this kind of revenue outside of crypto.
Not only is crypto a shrinking space, but specifically the world that we're in within tokenomics, right? The world that we're in within tokenomics is such a small, almost incestuous world, right?
Yeah.
So instead of me fighting for your money, and then Dave's money and everyone else's money that we're already co-invested, with in other projects, instead of me trying to steal or take that money in some way, shape, or form, right? Convince you to invest in my project, right? Take money from this project and invest into my project. Well, this is why, right? This is why. So I don't have to pull you here, because I am revenue generating without the volume, right? And that will drive the success of our organization.
And every time people do that, where they're going, oh, I'm going to leave that project, go to that project, they're losing 10, 20% on buy-sell tax.
Absolutely.
And they just keep shrinking, and then eventually they give up and walk away. Guys, I think there's going to be probably 5, if we're lucky, reflection projects that actually make it and generate revenue. And a year from now, we look back and go, those are the 5 that did it. Because there's just too many out there. And like we said, they're doing the stuff that nobody cares about, the swaps, the NFT marketplace. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are coming to this from a different place and bringing revenue in from outside the space. I think that's very, very bullish. What else do you guys want to talk about that we haven't covered that I might have missed?
I think where we're going is also important, what we plan to do moving forward. We have an extensive roadmap, which includes a lot of additional utilities, both in the eco space and the real world. But we also plan to establish the business as the key aspect of what we're doing moving forward. We do have to build out the metaverse, which hasn't been mentioned. NFTs we haven't mentioned. I know Philip has a particular bugbear about NFTs, but we
probably both do, buddy.
but But we're looking at several innovations around how NFTs can be utilized. So it's not just going to be having your title deeds and all of the documentation tied to that.
Yep.
It's also, like Phil said, being proactive about regulation moving forward. I'm not going to give away everything we're working on, but maybe there are aspects that can be looked at with the current technology. Also, the other aspect of trying to tie businesses to the blockchain, and there's other aspects of that we are currently looking at, which I've discussed with Philip, and I think you think at least one of those ideas could be pretty strong for us moving forward.
I also think that NFTs, there's a whole use case of NFTs that people haven't even really scratched the surface on yet, with identities and your social security number, your driver's license, voting, home ownership, the mortgage, even concert tickets, ownership of. There's so many things that no one's doing yet, or they're just starting to do. That's what I'm excited about NFTs, not another picture of something that is whatever, like I don't know, that to me I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, I just think the security is not quite strong enough for IDs, etc. I mean, with regards to the electronic documentation of the repository that you can have on an NFT, if someone then gets that off you, you can still have the NFT blacklisted, or you can make sure that to transfer the property, they still need the physical documents. So that's an additional layer of security that you can wrap up with the NFT as a one-stop shop for the documentation for your property. But there's the security aspects of the new homes that we want to create moving forward. There's a lot that we're doing moving forward, which we will reveal over time. But I think it's key to know that we've pretty much thought of a lot of things.
The whole medical industry space is now talking about using NFTs and blockchain, and a lot of that has to do with drug companies, whether you like them or not. They have to know, especially in rare disease. My wife is in rare disease, and so drug companies have to know how many patients there are. And so with blockchain, they're able to, if they adopt that and patients' records are on there, they can keep the anonymity of the patient, but know that there's 800 patients in the world that have this rare disease. So then the drug companies will invest in creating the drugs for that. And we're talking billions of dollars. So it's actually going to end up helping people getting on the blockchain, because they need to know that information, but they don't need to know it's Philip that has it or it's Todd that has it. They just need to know that people have it, where they're located, so that they can actually invest in the technology to help these people. So there's a huge push right now going on in the drug world for blockchain, and the growth is going to be incredible. So I don't know if you guys have anything in that space, but if you do, definitely continue down that path, because there's going to be millions and millions of dollars thrown at that space in the next probably 1 to 3 years.
There's also a lot that can be done in the construction industry with NFTs or blockchain as well, outside of the specific aspect of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how the technology is revolutionized, and there's so many things. I mean, there's a person running right now, January Walker, for Congress in Utah, and she's all about the blockchain and saying if everything was on the blockchain, spending would go way down, all the wasteful money that governments spend, because now it's all there for everybody to see. So I think we'll see a push there in government as well for this. Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Philip, on that.
I think the push for government's it's a whole nother animal that's just not going to be that they're not going to cut their spending. But that's a whole nother issue. NFTs do have their place, but they really only have their place if they're associated with an actual use case. That's my kind of 2 seconds on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. What else do you want to leave with? Like, let people know as an investor, talk to the investor. Why should they invest in this project? What's the upside for them? What's the potential for them? And I know you can't get into you're going to 10x or 100x. You can't do that. But what are your comments to potential investors out there looking to get into something, and why should they hold? Because that's the thing right now with people. They're looking to 2x or 3x and then get the hell out and go to the next one. And it's like, whoa. Like, what happened to the space here? You got to give projects time. So what are your thoughts to the investors?
My thoughts to the investors are really simple. You know, as we, you know, when we started this conversation, I told you, you know, I walked away from it. I did not, you know, I only saw the real estate aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I only saw the real estate aspect of it, I walked away. That wasn't interesting to me. When I really looked at it, when I peel the layers back, this is a self-sustaining organization with or without real estate. The real estate will happen. So why should you invest? You should invest because it's going to be generating revenues within weeks. Within weeks from now, we will be generating revenues before launch. Not many companies can say that. So we'll be generating revenues before launch that have nothing to do with crypto. It's being tied. The revenues will be tied back into it, but they're real world self-sustaining organizations. This is me actually investing in a business with potential crypto-like rewards. What they're doing on the real estate side is potentially groundbreaking. We can revolutionize an entire industry. So while they work on revolutionizing an industry to be able to be self-sustained, you know, to be able to be self-sustained with real world revenues on a real world company, and that makes it an investment to me, not a gamble. That makes it a real investment, right? Not a gamble. I'm not going to Vegas, right? That's my best, you know, you know, overview on why you should actually invest instead of you know, put money in, get your 2 to 3x, pull it, go into your next one. You have the ability to completely transform an entire industry. Not many companies, not many projects, not many organizations can say that. We have the ability to potentially transform an industry while generating real revenue to sustain you in the meantime. So, you know, can this be your 100x? Yeah, it can absolutely potentially be your 100 plus x, right? If we prove out that, you know, if and when we prove out that model. In the meantime, we're generating real revenue, showing real growth, and putting it back into our investors.
Well said. Scott?
Yeah, sure. Phil's pretty much covered it, but just to add to that with regards to the market volatility, our system protects our investors because, like Philip said, of the real world aspect of it. And what I would like people to consider as well is the reason to hold is because at some point, once we get it up and running and fully functioning, the rewards that are returned to you for holding that token will make the price of the token immaterial. If you just think about how much revenue 1,000 properties will generate through the tokenomics that we have, that kind of system is something that we believe is unique, and we're already looking into a secondary market based on that aspect. So the reason to hold is because we have the opportunity, like Philip said, to make not only groundbreaking changes in that industry, but also to move crypto forward in a fashion that is not currently being done.
Guys, where do people find you? What's your website to go to?
It's ownersunity.com at the moment, but we are rebuilding out our third website, which will be back on ownersunity.org. If you want to have a look at CBP, it's on vericheck.me. If you want to go and have a look at Owners Utility, it's on ownersutility.com. And then we will have more websites which we'll be announcing with the additional utilities that we roll out.
What social, because I've noticed every project will have a favorite social, Discord, Telegram, Twitter, and some ignore all of them but one. What's the one that you guys really love to communicate to your people in?
I would say Telegram,
Okay.
but I know there's a lot of people that love the Discord, but I'm leaning towards Telegram. Philip,
Okay.
what do you think?
Right now it's right now the push is Telegram. Obviously Discord has many more capabilities, specifically within the organizational structure, right, and being able to clean things up. But right now they're leaning towards Telegram.
Okay. I'm debating in my head whether to ask this question. I've done it to you before, but Philip didn't have this question, so I'll end here. And Scott handled this beautifully last time. But why do you do this, Philip? What's your why behind doing this? What gets you up in the morning? We had actually a really nice conversation before this started about being dads to a daughter. But what is it that drives you? What's your why?
I have a lot of whys. My why is my 5-year-old. She's my world. She's my everything. I want to be able to give her a better world. All that being said, if we can make the mark on the world and make it a better place, that's what drives me these days. That I've transitioned from corporate American finance to being a social entrepreneur. And I've been on the social entrepreneur side for the last 8 years, and I'm having a blast. And this is a combination of both being a social entrepreneur and an entrepreneur all at the same time, and being able to truly make a mark in the world.
Yeah.
And Scott?
Yeah, pretty much the same answer as I gave you last time. It's to, Philip covered it well as well, it's to have an impact and to make a difference in a positive fashion. Like I said to you, if we advance one person's life and make it easier, then that to me is worth it.
Yeah, I love what you guys are doing. I'm excited for the mission and what you're embarking on. It's bold, and I really wish you guys all the success in the world. And I'm looking forward to watching this unfold and the lives that you're going to change, because you have the ability to change a lot of people's lives. So that's exciting. Guys, thank you for coming on. And so this Saturday in your Telegram is when you're going to do the announcement for the next utility?
It is, yes.
What time is that going down?
6 p.m. UTC.
Okay. I believe that's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think, if my math is correct, something like that. All right, cool. All right, guys, thank you for coming on. And I'm sure we'll probably do another one of these after you guys launch and, and see what's happening, and as you have more things to announce. Any final thoughts, anything that came to mind that we missed before we go?
No, but I think you did a great job. I just wanted to thank you so much for the opportunity to have us on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you for coming on. Guys, thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, take care. Bye.